Welcome, everyone. Welcome to today's live stream. I actually wanted to start it a minute early, but it's exactly 6 o'clock now, or it's just got to 6 o'clock now. And I'm really, really excited. I'm very, very excited. I've got my food in front of me. I've ordered Mexican food. I could not find my bottle opener, unfortunately. But thank you for joining us, and thank you for joining us in this fast-defying action that we are taking part in. There are many, many people around the world, many, many people in all kinds of circumstances right now who are being forced into this kind of fasting in Ramadan, and it isn't necessarily their choice. And we are here to take a stand. CEMB, the Council of Ex-Muslims of Britain, usually do this every single year, where they will eat openly to protest this specific kind of thing around the world. Many people are being abused. Many people are being attacked, ostracized, all kinds, and it's really, really important that we talk about this, but also have a little bit of fun. So we've invited some of your favorite ex-Muslims onto the platform to talk about this issue, as well as have some food, some pre-Iftar food. So I hope you've grabbed yourselves a snack, grabbed yourself a drink, made a Ramadan list, and I would like to introduce Maryam to come and talk to us about some of these issues.
Hi.
Hi, Maryam. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderfully. I've got a mug of wine, and I've got my food in front of me, and I'm ready to start going. Would you, so you've never been on my channel, so my audience, because it's kind of a mixed bag, might not know who you are. So would you like to introduce yourself, what you do, and what we're doing here today?
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited about this program of yours. I mean, I think some people might, first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Maryam Namazie, and I'm founder of the and spokesperson of the Council of Ex-Muslims of Britain.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose we've been doing something like this, some sort of fast-defying action for many years now. Many of the years we went in front of embassies of countries that persecute people for eating and drinking during Ramadan.
Mm-hmm.
And we've also had like a fast-defying picnic. We've gone in front of the Ministry of Education, for example, and condemned fasting of children in schools and how harmful that is. So we've done various things.
Yeah.
And some people might kind of be offended by what we're doing, that we're eating during Ramadan before, it's iftar, before people are allowed to actually eat. And I guess it is a bit of fun, as you mentioned, but also it has a very serious message behind it. And it's the fact that, of course, you can fast if you want. I might think it's absurd to have that sort of fast over those long hours for such a long period of time without any water, completely dry. But I mean, that's your choice if you're an adult and you make that choice. But the problem is that for many people, it's not really a choice. They're forced to not eat, they're forced not to drink. And you see lots of repercussions. For example, people being beaten in the streets, people being arrested, people being flogged in countries where there's Islamic rules and it's illegal to eat and drink during Ramadan. And of course, also, it's this idea that, and restaurants, for example, that are open in countries where it's not the law to not eat, in places like, I don't know, Lebanon or Tunisia, you do have places might be attacked for being open for people, and also this sort of shame around this issue. So people hiding the fact that they're eating still. And I remember when this wasn't the case, because we have family members who fast and don't fast, and it was fine. And now it's sort of like you should be fasting, and if you're not, well, you shouldn't show that you're eating because you don't want to offend other people who are actually fasting. And it's a sort of a kind of narrative of the Islamists, that's made it such that it's become a hard law now. and a lot of people are forced to do it. So we're basically saying, look, fast if you want, but also understand that some of us don't want to fast. And we can't be made to do it, and I think that's an important message, because if religion is a personal choice, then being free from religion is also one, and not doing religious rituals and ceremonies is also a personal choice.
Yeah. And just to add to a point that you were making, that people who don't want to fast are made to hide that they are not fasting. Even in the case of people who can't fast, so people who are ill or women who are on their periods, we're made to feel like this sense of shame that we have to, eat during that time because we can't fast. Like we're meant to hide and eat, or we can't eat in front of those people who are fasting. And I think it's just a little absurd. You chose to fast. You chose not to eat. It should not, I don't understand how anyone else eating would be a temptation if you've made that choice. So it rubs me the wrong way. We are going to have some other people joining us in a little while, but I do want to ask you, Maryam, right now there are quite a few ex-Muslims, closeted or otherwise, or progressive Muslims or gay Muslims who are stuck with their families in the month of Ramadan. And they will be having a particularly difficult time, along with Muslims as well, who will be having a difficult time, because Ramadan, along with the fasting and stuff, it is a mainly like a very family time. So what kind of advice or like words or anything really would you say to encourage those people who are feeling trapped or isolated in this time? Because it must be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely so. And we've actually gotten quite a lot of calls just in the past weeks leading up to this month. Of course, we all know that there's higher rates of domestic violence, for example. Those are things that are mentioned in mainstream news, but the sort of violence and threats against ex-Muslims is something that isn't very much part of the mainstream. And I think people are feeling a lot more unsafe because they're locked down with families that are abusing them. And also because of the lockdown, it's very difficult for them to have that breathing space. Whereas when it's not a lockdown time, obviously you have more of a chance to at least go out more, and your parents might be out for other things as well. And now everybody's stuck in the house. And I think including in Ramadan, it's going to be even harder because there are these added expectations. So already there's all these expectations of ex-Muslims not being proper Muslims, and which is why they're facing so much threats and abuse. But now it's this added thing where they can't eat or drink. And so I guess, I mean, it's I can only give the greatest sympathy. I mean, I know when I never really had to do it, but I know family members that pretended they were fasting and they snuck some food into their room and managed to eat and drink without their families knowing. So I think, I'm sure lots of people are doing that if they can. And I guess sneaking food the night before and hiding it somewhere so that you do have the food and drink that you need. And trying to keep sane by being in touch with friends, I suppose, because that's really important to have that sort of safety net and that support. So I think sometimes you can't do anything for people, but just being there and talking to them and making them feel that they're not alone, I think that's quite important as well. And,
I think it's particularly difficult right now to be able to just get some space. I think that especially when you're in an anxious situation, it's very, very important to be able to have that space, and that's just not viable for some people because they're very much trapped in their homes with the thing that's making them anxious. So I think that there is this, and it was something that I was kind of foreseeing as well, the rise in domestic violence. I think it was something that I thought would happen with people being in such close quarters and people being people as well. And it's just really I don't know, it's really sad and disappointing to see that it's actually turned that way. So yeah, my heart definitely goes out to them. But on a slightly lighter note, Maryam, what are you eating?
Well, my hubby is supposed to make dinner on the weekend because yeah, he's a better cook than me. And until I get my dinner, I'm having like cheese and olives and snacks and prosecco. How about you?
I ordered Mexican food, and
Yeah.
I hadn't anticipated just how messy it would be, so I'm gonna have to clean up after this. But can we also get a little, because I think that when I say the Council of Ex-Muslims of Britain, people don't think it's a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
People think it's like a Facebook group or something. So
Oh.
can we have an insight into what the organization is and what you do?
Yeah, well, it's a lot more than having a presence on social media. It's actually trying to create a support system as well as a friendship system and a personal network for people who've lost everything, in many instances, for having left Islam. So, um, and it has something for everything in a sense, because we do, of course, a lot of campaigning and political work for LGBT rights, for the right to blasphemy and apostasy. And that's obviously something that people might find shocking and offensive even, but we kind of feel that if you're fighting for a right, I mean, Jimmy says this really well, Jimmy Bangash is one of our spokespersons, then you've got to actually do that action in order to normalize it and make it something that's acceptable in society. So, for example, if you want equal rights, then you have a Rosa Parks who comes and sits in the front of the bus. Even though it's going against the law, it's sort of, the law is unjust. And so by actually breaking that law, you're trying to create a space to change things. So a lot of our campaigning work is on that sort of like, opening up the space for blasphemy and apostasy so that it becomes more normal and it's something that could possibly be a real, we could see a real change in the near future. And the other part, of course, as I mentioned, is the support system. So we have support groups. We do a lot of one-on-one support. A large percentage of our cases are asylum cases, so people applying for asylum because of apostasy or blasphemy. And then also there's a social component, so having meetups and socials and events where people can come together and create a new network of friendships and support that they didn't have. So and then the meetups is something that we have speakers that come and raise issues that are of relevance to us, and there's always discussions around it. And in the meetups, we've had everything from art therapy to we're doing one soon with a playwright about writing stories for and by ex-Muslims. So it's a variety of things. And I guess there's something for everything, because some people don't want to do political campaigning work and they can just
Which is understandable.
Yeah, of course, definitely. And not everybody can be an activist or wants to be an activist. But I think the activism is important because whilst a fewer people do it, it is important to bring about that change, and that's why sometimes it's important to do, even though it's not the only thing that we do.
I think I think sometimes the activism is seen as I don't know, it's viewed quite negatively sometimes, especially because the campaigns are kind of in your face. But it definitely starts a conversation, and I enjoy that. There are quite a few meetups and things like that that I've gone to that I've really quite enjoyed, and I would love to host one at some point. I've been to ones that Ali Malik has hosted, for example, and they're quite good. There are some people in the chat who have, so Ishtiaq, who's quite a regular here on my channel, has said, thank you for your tireless work in supporting ex-Muslims and creating safe spaces for us.
Thank you.
So Yeah, I think that sometimes the Council of Ex-Muslims is not taken as seriously or heralded as well as it should be. And I don't know. I don't know what ideas we could put in place for the future
Mm.
as like a, I don't know, like a PR move so that we can make it a bigger thing than it is right now. Um,
I don't think we need to worry about that because I
okay.
think in general, I mean, no, obviously it's always good to have what we're doing known by more people. But
Hmm.
what I mean is that because it's so against the mainstream,
Mm.
uh, that it is, fighting to come from the margins into the center. And
Yeah.
I think because of that, there are lots of social movements that began in this way, and then they became mainstream and recognized for the work that
Hmm.
they're doing. So I
Yeah.
think we shouldn't worry so much about how well known we are, as long as we're making, we're having an impact.
Yeah.
And the reality is that ex-Muslims has become a very normal thing now when we think about it, even
As
though,
compared to 10 years ago. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, when we started 12 years ago, we had our first ex-Muslim conference, and there was maybe 3 or 4 ex-Muslims who came. They all hid upstairs on the balcony, so they didn't want to be seen.
Yeah.
Uh, in fact, one
Wow.
journalist asked me, "Why are you even starting this? This just sounds like you're just, trying to make trouble for no reason. There's no ex-Muslims. They don't even exist. What are you going on about, And I
Hmm.
think I think it's very clear that there's a lot of us, and
Hmm.
there's and we are making waves. And I think we have to recognize that because we're going against the mainstream, because we're challenging very powerful movements and states, and
Hmm.
not just Islamic states and movements, but lots of Western governments, for example, are
Hmm.
complicit with Islamic states. As
Yeah.
long as they can make money and business goes on as usual, they're not really interested in holding the Saudi government or the Iranian government or the Pakistani government to account. you
Yeah.
know, and we've seen that time and time again. And of course, there's also a section of the left that criticizes
Sympathize.
any criticism of Islam as
Hmm.
Islamophobia. But also, I mean, a lot of focus is on the left, but the right and right-wing governments and states, and from the Tories down, they have supported Islamic states and movements for a very long time. In fact, if we look at current contemporary history, it's U.S. foreign policy that brought Islamism to the center stage during the Cold War, when they wanted to kind of create a green Islamic belt around the Soviet Union at the time.
Yeah.
So all of that somehow we need to remember. So we've got these powerful, opponents and people who are appeasing them, and those who are killing even in order to silence. And
Hmm.
so if we look at it from that perspective, we're doing really, really well,
Yeah.
and I think
True.
we have to always remember that.
Hmm. Hassan Radwan has joined us. He's very proudly proclaimed that you're his hero. Uh,
And he's mine, so we'll have to fight that out.
yeah. We've also got a comment from Galerian, who says that I'm glad you're doing a Fast-Defying mukbang. I'm actually forced to fast despite being on medication. I'm forced to take my antidepressants at 5 a.m. instead of 10 a.m., which is, that must be rough because I'm on antidepressants, and if you don't take them at the right time, they can really mess you around. Halima's just joined us in the conversation. If she's ready to come on, I'm just going to check.
Oh, I'm
Uh,
sorry to hear that. That's
yeah.
really, really upsetting.
So we have Halima Salat here to join us. Your mic is muted. We can't.
I do this all the time.
It's okay. It's
I
okay.
know.
Welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Cheers.
Um,
Hi, Halima.
cheers.
Cheers.
What are you drinking?
I'm Maryam. How are you? It's a
I'm good.
cocktail with red vodka and ginger ale.
Oh, you're
Mm.
not messing around.
Nope.
Ramadan Mubarak.
Yep. Ramadan.
Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Mubarak.
I'm going to move
So,
my food away because all I do is eat non-stop. It's just
No,
really, I'm
there.
an
See?
eataholic.
I mean, we'll see how much of this I get through. I
I
bought
just
it
have
for
to
this
tell you a
occasion.
quick funny story. When Dia Khan was doing the film about Islam's non-believers,
Yeah.
and then, they always had food and things for us whenever we were filming. And her film crew guy was saying that he could never find any extra shots of me because I was always eating. And I always had like crumbs all over my clothes.
With food shaming you.
Oh yes, I'm just moving my food aside. I'm just drinking because.
Well, I mean, you're here to eat, and to be fair, Jimmy's said that he's fasting today because he normally fasts.
All right.
Because he does like his intermittent fasting, so he might not be eating. So it would be good to have just people eating, and I'm not the only one that's just shoving food down my face. But welcome, Halima. How are you doing? And what message would you like to send to all of the people who are, out there needing to fast when they don't want to be?
That's the hardest part, isn't it? That there's the family pressure in the presence of especially for ex-Muslims who are in the closet, and everything is about the Ramadan, and there's the pressure to pray and to fast. And what makes it difficult, especially if somebody has consciously left religion, or they don't believe anymore. It's such a pain, isn't it? It's like for, of course, for their safety and issues to do with not wanting to out themselves, they have to pretend. But that then brings out that like it's not even for argument's sake, the family that's enforcing this on their family members. Let's say they have to understand that it's, for argument's sake, the Allah and the Islamic scriptures and all that, it's not real. This person doesn't believe, so leave them be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I do want to send a lot of love and support to ex-Muslims who have to be in this situation at this time. That strength, lots of love. I hope you get through the month. It's a long month.
It's a long
so
month.
I really hope you get through the month.
Especially in the northern hemisphere right now, with going through summer, and like iftar here isn't until 8 o'clock. So it's a long day of fasting, and it also, it can't be easy in the heat with trapped by all of the things that stress you out, and it's a lot. So really, my heart goes out to everyone who's taking a part in this, whether it's by choice or not. It can't be easy. So yeah, someone's asked you, Maryam, if you're having a swali. What's that?
I have no idea what a swali is. Sorry, I'm like
swali?
I'm an immigrant. I have no idea what happened.
Someone actually asked above if are you an English woman, and how did you become Muslim and then left?
Who's an English woman? Oh, me.
Yeah.
That's a funny question.
Oh yeah, I'm one of those converts. No, I'm kidding. Well, first of all, sorry, Minta,
Halima, can you imagine Maryam as a convert?
I'm having a prosecco. I'm being very posh, darling. And I'm actually Iranian, born and raised. My father's Iranian, but the interesting thing is, my mom is Nepalese from India, so she was born in a place called Kalimpong in the Himalayas. And I look exactly like her, so I've got like Mongolian looking.
You do.
And
do
I guess
look very
that's why,
Mongolian.
that's why I
Mhm.
look this way. But because I was born and raised in Iran and I know Farsi and I didn't really learn
Mm.
Nepalese except for the swear words. So I feel very much Iranian, but yeah, I look this way. So sorry about
Hassan Radwan has
that.
cleared it up for us. He said, "Oh, by the way, Hassan, if you want to come into the live stream, feel free to."
Hi Hassan.
It's an alcoholic drink. Oh, and
I had no idea.
my grandfather was part Scottish, so I should know that. But yeah, I have no.
Oh, have you taken a DNA test, Maryam?
I'm sorry.
Have you ever taken a DNA test?
No, because we're all
that's going to be interesting. I heard.
Would you ever want to?
No, I don't think so. Not really that interested. But it's really funny because I used to work at this British organization when I first moved here, and someone called and I was like, I'm really sorry, do you mind speaking English? And the lady was like, I am speaking English. I think she was Scottish. So I said, I'm really sorry. I'm an immigrant. I just mess things up really badly. So yeah, so I wouldn't be able to do a Scottish accent for you. Oh my gosh, I think I'm getting drunk. I'm talking rubbish now.
No, it's fine.
No, you're not.
I was drunk when I started this, so it's all good. Maryam, would you like to send the same message you did in English, but in Farsi for those of Farsi viewers?
Yeah, definitely.
And Halima can put one in Somali.
Beautiful.
If she wants to.
I have to put one in Somali.
خب دوستان عزیز ما امروز اینجاییم در دفاع از کسایی که روزه‌خواری میکنن به خاطر اینکه روزه گرفتن. خب بالاخره یه سری آدما احساس میکنن این حقشونه، ولی واقعیتش این که خیلیا نمیخوان روزه بگیرن، حق روزه‌خواری دارن و به خاطر روزه‌خواری دارن اذیت و آزار میشن، زندانی میشن، شکنجه میشن و شلاق و غیره میشن و به همین خاطر ما داریم روزه‌خواری میکنیم در دفاع از این افراد، در دفاع از حق روزه‌خواری و حق اینکه افراد بتونن هر طوری که میخوان زندگی کنن، به خصوص کسایی که تو کشورهای مثل ایران و عربستان سعودی و پاکستان زندگی میکنن. میدونیم که الان ماه خیلی اذیت کننده و تاریکی هست برای افراد و امیدواریم که این ماه هر چه سریعتر بگذره و به سلامتی همه روزه‌خواران.
Thank you.
Wow.
I didn't understand any of that, but it was beautiful. So thank you.
But it sounded really cool.
What can I say?
So Halima,
Yeah.
you have a lot of haters.
Yeah, I know.
Would you
Somalis
like to
don't
send?
like the ex-Muslims.
Would you
They
like?
defile,
Well, no,
you know?
but like the Somali haters I found are like way worse, way worse than any other kind. Oh, Mindy's
I
doing it
know.
as well.
It's like, I think it stems from the idea of I mean, different cultures have you know, the misogyny that's from the culture, and then the misogyny of Islam put together, and then I do believe that especially East Africa, African countries, and this and that and the other, there is a cultural misogyny that's kind of specific, and then you have religious misogyny, and then when ex-Muslim women, especially, and I would emphasize that women come out and speak publicly and, you know, do some activism or talk about or criticize Islam or fight for the rights of people who just to live their lives, you know, then the hate, the online hate is, I don't know. So, you know, you lose track sometimes, and you're like, okay, now I'm ignoring, but then again, you know, it just keep coming. We were talking about it the other day, Faye, remember?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and so, but I do want to say a message in Somali. My Somali is not that good.
Go for it. I'll probably understand more of it than the Farsi.
I'm just gonna go get a drink, guys. I'll be back.
Go for
Okay.
it.
Dad badan oo waxaa jira oo familkooda la nool oo lagu qasbaya inay ay soomaan oo ramadaanka ay maaragtay ay la dhuumadaan xitaa haddaysan aaminsanayn dad waxaa jirta diinta ka baxay oo mulxidiin ah oo familkooda la nool oo markaasna kadib maaragtay lagu qasbaayo haddii ay ku nool yihiin Soomaaliya ha ahaato inay ku nool yihiin qurbaha dadkaas lagu qasbaayo ayaan maanta meeshan u fadhinaa oo waan cuntaynaynaa waan cabaynaa si aan maaragtay aan dadkaas aan ugu muujino support I don't know support in Somali aan taageerno found it aan taageerno aan maaragtay tusino dad badan waxaa jirta like shalayta gabaraa ii soo dirtay sawirkayga twittergan saare my twittergayga waxaa waye @halima salaad dadkaasayto waxay ii soo dirtay sawir oo ay maaragtay ay isku dayaysa sidii ay ramadaanka ay maanta ay maaragtay ku survive garayn lahayd and dadkaas my heart goes out to you you know what I mean my heart goes out to you the people who are in the closet and having to be forced to go through this month. It's really a difficult month, I know. So my love and hearts and support. Thank you, Kay.
The moment you started speaking Somali, the Somali stands started coming out. But me being a terrible host, I have forgotten to ask you to introduce yourself, where to find you, what you do. But before I let you do that, we actually have a donation. Thank you so much, G Skeptic, for the Zionist money. Very much appreciated. I'm not getting that check in. So I actually met G Skeptic at the event that I spoke, the CEMB event that I spoke at. He took a picture with me and it was a lot of fun. We argued about Henry VIII. I'm still not convinced about his points, but anyways, he says, you may not be known by everyone else, but you are heroes to us, the former Muslims, and we are creating a movement. I went from wanting you all dead to looking up to all of you. So thank you. Thank you, Mommy Maryam and everyone.
Thank you.
Heart emoji.
That was funny, wanting you all dead. And then...
also, Mimsy is in the chat. Heart goes out to you, baby mama. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, Maryam, please do take the, your Jesus, take the wheel, introduce yourself, and what you do and where we can find you.
Who, me?
Maryam. Sorry, Halima.
No, Maryam can just go like, I am the mother of ex-Muslims.
She is. Halima, there's a picture of Maryam giving birth to me.
I'm getting drunk, so I'm going to just start talking. I start laughing hysterically and talking a lot of rubbish. So I think it's going to start very soon.
It's all in good fun. It's all for the right cause.
I'm slurring my words as well. So, hi, I'm Maryam. I don't know. Do you want me to reintroduce myself again? That's a bit...
No. I meant Halima and I said Maryam.
I had no idea. The whole time I'm thinking it's Maryam.
I have to do that again. Okay, go ahead, Halima.
No, but I would take the liberty to also introduce Maryam and say that she's the mother of the global, all ex-Muslims globally.
I have a lot of kids.
Last year in Amsterdam, someone took a picture of Maryam's butt and she was complaining about it. So I asked to see it and my head is just sticking out of it. So if you want to go see that, go follow me on Instagram. But anyway, go ahead, Halima.
Well, I'm supposed to introduce myself?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this the part where I actually go into the... I'm Kenyan Somali because, the British do a line and because, I have some leg in Somalia and some leg in Kenya and then I live in...
You know what?
Anyway.
We got... Ramadan is 30 days long. Go. You can do whatever you want.
Okay, my name is Halima. I do live in the Netherlands. I do a lot of things, poetry. I'm a journalist as well, but on ex-Muslim issues per se, that I'm very vocal. and that I do speak as much as I can about
Mhm.
it. I do run a small organization, it's small, called Ex-Muslim Somali Voices. We have a YouTube channel. We try to get people to talk, but it's very difficult. And I think this really stems from the hate and the the reaction towards apostates from the Somali community. Whether the Somali community is living, of course, in Somalia, it's one of the 13 countries where apostasy is punishable by law. But even those who live in the diaspora, so to speak, in the wider diaspora, whether it's in England, in Europe, in America, whatever place in the West, the reaction to apostasy is extremely harsh, to a point that there's numerous cases of young people, whether they are wishy-washy liberal Muslim or whether they are ex-Muslim, who are shipped off to their home country, and a lot of abuse happens, and this and that and the other. And when I first started getting involved with the ex-Muslim community, I did see that not a lot of ex-Muslim Somalis who come out, apart from Ayan, stay in the public sphere. And I wanted to understand why that is. And of course, even Maryam knows a few cases where, the reaction and the harshness and the, real threats, even in places where it's supposed to be safe, became so close that, people are like, okay, now it's really not worth it. So that's something that I hope that we can continually keep talking about it, so that kind of just almost make it mainstream as much as we can.
Our godfather has asked us, well, specifically you, Halima,
yeah,
whether or not the anger towards Somali ex-Muslims stems from Ayan Hirsi Ali, who was portrayed as the incarnation of Shaitan by everyone I knew back in the day.
Yeah. And that's the thing. She's like Salman Rushdie in the Somali community, so to speak. And basically, I think that and this is not just Somali Muslims per se. It's also within Somali ex-Muslims. They're not a big fan of Ayan. And of course, the majority of us also don't agree with her political, standings and this and that and the other. We don't have to agree on everything. But personally, she's been my hero, and she's opened up this space, and we all know that.
Didn't she send you her book when you were still in Kenya?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Halima's been a long time stan.
I've been a long time stan, yeah. and when I was in Kenya, actually, of course, I couldn't, use my name. So with pseudonym and writing some essays and this and that, the other, she did send me her office, send me her latest book, and that was kind of like.
We have a comment from Hi, I like Jaffa Cakes, says, yo, I'm Muslim and fasting right now, but I still think the points these guys are talking about are important. The pressures on people this quarantine and Ramadan are very real. Great job, guys. Thank you so much for that. And it really isn't, I think that when we first sort of Saf was also meant to be here, but she's under a lot of pressure and a lot of stress right now, so she sends her apologies. She can't join us to help me host this, but honestly, I don't think I'll need much help. But I think that when we first sort of tweeted out about this, we got a lot of pushback because, you're disrespecting people who are trying to fast and all of that stuff. But it really isn't a difficult concept to grasp, that there are just people in the world who do not want to fast and are punished for that very human thing that they want called food. So I think that it's really nice to see Muslims come out and also sort of respect that we also want our rights to eat when we want to eat. It's pretty simple.
But can I also add something to that, which is
Sure.
the fact that there are lots of Muslims who don't want to fast during Ramadan, and I think, and the fact that Jaffa Cakes is so great in the sense of understanding why we don't want to fast and supporting it and saying that we're making some good points. I think there are lots of Muslims like that actually, and the problem is that we've got this sort of, because the Islamists now have power and they make the rules, and they've sort of homogenized Muslims so that a good Muslim is someone who likes Sharia and who likes, the death penalty for apostasy, and thinks women should wear, a burqa if they're not going to be whores. Because of that narrative, somehow we kind of think that most Muslims are opposed to ex-Muslims eating, when the reality is that there are lots of Muslims. I mean, today I had a family WhatsApp, and I have family all over the world because of the whole refugee phenomenon. We live everywhere from, Dubai and Iran to, Europe, the United States, North America, and all, practically most of my family wasn't fasting, though some were. And it's completely a normal thing. I mean, I think every family will have people who don't fast and do fast, but it's become expected because they sort of write the narrative now, the religious right write the narrative. So it makes it seem like we're provoking people or we're trying to shock people. Actually, this is how a lot of our families have lived for a very long time. And we're just making sure that things stay that way and they don't change to the extent where people are persecuted. I mean, it's one thing when the law persecutes people, of course, because it's an Islamic state, but lots of families are okay with it, though not everyone, but quite a few families are also okay with people eating or not eating. My family is Muslim, but they're fine. They're not fasting themselves, let alone telling me to fast. So I think it's good to see Muslims as more than just one, fundamentalist body.
Homogenous body, yeah. There are loads of different flavors of Muslims that you get now. We do have a question from Nick, who said, do you have any advice for a non-Muslim American who wants to support and amplify ex-Muslim voices and your stories? And who, whoever wants to take that question, feel free to. We'll add on later.
Why are we so quiet? Halima, did you want to
Well,
say something?
I needed to find my unmute button. That's the thing. It's because we don't. I mean, right now it's becoming a little bit better, I would say, in social media. You would have a few people, sending their support or sharing the stories. But just was it today that I read on Twitter?
Jeff Goldblum.
Somebody was saying, like, the hashtag we had about, like, when I was a Muslim.
Yeah, I later, just to correct myself, because I do think that is important. That tweet is actually 2 years old, so somebody's dug it up.
Really?
Yeah, it's quite an old tweet. But what I would, the way that I would answer that question is that, one, just by sharing, I think that knowledge is pretty accessible now with the internet. Just share our stories, tell people about our stories. And I think the other thing is that take part in our campaigns. I think that just because you don't come from a Muslim background or you are not Muslim, that does not mean that you can't speak out about all these issues. You can definitely, have an opinion and voice that opinion on, Fast-Defying, or be that the hijab and what you think about it. I think that it's really, really important that we don't just reserve these issues to Muslims and people who've left Islam. It's really, really important that this slowly sort of bleeds into the mainstream, where everyone has an opinion and they aren't afraid to talk about it. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, but I would go, Mara.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would also like just quickly add that, just because you share the stories of ex-Muslims, or you talk about issues about hijab and maybe what you find yourself, and this is addressed to, like, for example, the person who asked the question, like an average American. And just because you can talk about this, it doesn't mean that you're racist or whatever it is that people tend to pile on such discussions, because there is also this trend within social media of any, let's even say, white person talking about sharing the stories of ex-Muslims, even if they're on the liberal left on their political scaling, so to speak. People piling on them and just trying to shut them up. And I think that's extremely dangerous, in the sense that what it does then is basically only want to look for this homogeneous one community. I mean, the moment you are a little bit different from that, then everybody should toe the line of the division. It's extremely dangerous in contemporary 21st century society. Yeah,
and if I can just add to that too, that I think very clearly, of course, it comes down to politics. I think I know we live in an era of identity politics where it's all about people's identities, but I'm from an era where it's all about solidarity movements, equality, liberation, irrespective of our backgrounds and identity. And I think that's really key, supporting ex-Muslims, because ex-Muslims have human rights, because they have the right to live and think as they want, without fear, without threats, without the death penalty. But I think it's also important to recognize that we live in a world where not just the Islamists are in power, but you have the rise of the religious right of all stripes, whether it's the Hindu right in India, whether it's the Christian right in the United States, the Jewish right, for example, in a place like the Palestinian territories, or even the Buddhist right. We hear how wonderful Buddhism is always portrayed as, but you've got Buddhist right in places like Myanmar and Sri Lanka that are attacking Muslims. So I think within that context, it's also really important to say that whilst criticism of an idea, Islam, or a political movement like Islamism isn't racism, that racism and bigotry does exist. And I think for me personally, my fight for the rights for ex-Muslims is a fight for equality. It's not for superiority or to stress our difference than those horrible Muslims, but it's to say that we all have rights, Muslim, ex-Muslim, whether we're believers or non-believers. And I think that for me is really important and crucial. So and I think when we talk about the fight for rights, these are all interlinked. You can't fight for women's rights and then be opposed to gay rights. You can't fight for the rights of religious minorities and then be against the rights of atheists, because they're kind of interlinked. If one group suffers, everyone suffers, because rights are something that the powerless demand from those who are in power. And so for me, I think, sometimes there's a problem where ex-Muslim rights are defended at the expense of Muslims, and it shouldn't be the case. And also, I think, if Muslims should have the right to believe what they want, ex-Muslims should have the right to believe what they want. So it is about equality, it's about fairness, it's about human rights, irrespective of what we think and believe. And I think for me, that's really key when we fight for ex-Muslim rights, because the reality is that we all know as ex-Muslims, I mean, Halima, Faye, most probably a lot of the people listening in know that very often our plight is used by the far right to hate Muslims, to hate migrants. But we're also migrants, many of us. We also have Muslim families that we love. My parents, I love them more than I love anybody else in the world, and they're Muslims. So I think in that sense, we have to remember that this is about people's rights and their choices and their freedoms, and it's for everyone. You know, we're not fighting for one over another. And the far right does use us often, and I think we need to be very careful not to let them use us. Because for me, you know, the far right, the white nationalists, the white supremacists, I don't see any difference fundamentally with the Islamists. They look exactly the same to me. I fear them as I fear the Islamists, you know, because yes, they don't have as much power, possibly, but if they did, we've seen when, you know, white supremacists have power, like in Nazi Germany, what they can do. We know that. And so I think we need, so I do sometimes feel like I'm walking on a, you know, on a very thin rope where I have to be careful, because whilst I hate Islam like you won't believe, and I hate religion like you won't believe, I also want to make sure that Muslims, ex-Muslims, we all have equal rights. We're all treated with dignity, because fundamentally we're all humans, you know, anyway. And also the reality is that even someone who's a believer, as I had never read the Quran. I was just born into Islam. And I can't imagine people hating me because when I was Muslim, I'm no different than I am today. You know, so you know what I mean? Because it wasn't really a choice for me when I was a Muslim as well, because I just was born in Iran. Well, that's the label they put on your forehead, you know, and you're supposed to just take that till the end of your days.
Thank you, Maryam, for that very inspiring monologue. Sorry if I appeared to be giggling while you were doing that, because I was talking to Jimmy and he was making me laugh. Jimmy was making me laugh. We have some comments. David Worley's asked me to let Maryam know that she is bae. That's a good thing from us millennials.
Oh, that's good. I have no idea what that is.
Hassan Radwan has offered a takbir for what you've just said. We've also got Jimmy Bangash just waiting in the queue. He's gone to turn over his chips, and he'll be joining us in a couple of seconds. He was sitting there telling. I was trying to make him laugh, and what ended up happening was that he just started saying random shit that was making me laugh while you were being so deep and passionate. He said, "I'm eating cheese." And Cheetos and Pringles. Oh, we stan. So Jimmy's back now. I can see him wandering back in. Welcome, Jimmy. You're live.
Hey guys.
Hey, how's the cheese?
Hi, Jimmy.
Hey, Halima. So, cheers, guys.
Cheers.
This is almond milk. I'm turning vegetarian.
Yay!
I'm turning vegetarian. And I don't even know why it's happening. I just feel like I'm becoming a more compassionate human being.
Yes.
And so then I couldn't eat animals all of a sudden. It's a really, really weird thing. It wasn't deliberate. I just found myself not picking up animal.
You're getting wiser. You're getting wiser with your age. So really... Jimmy, sorry, I just wanted to. Jimmy is our resident gem. He's our resident gay ex-Muslim, and I'm gonna let Jimmy speak for himself. So Jimmy, who are you? What do you do? What are you about? That's a banana. Why are you holding a banana?
Has to have a banana. So yeah. So what were we saying? Sorry, what did you say? I'm completely distracted because this Ramadan, I'm also learning to cook. So I have got like oven chips in the oven, and in 6 minutes 30 seconds, I need to go and take them out.
Godfather has.
Oh my God, Hassan, you're there. Salam.
We didn't know. We couldn't tell, Jimmy.
I tried to keep it quiet.
The closet, guys.
Everyone knows.
But
so it's really good to see you a lot, because like in self-isolation, you know, there's not a lot of motivation to put on fresh new clothes or aftershave. Today I had a shave. I was like, I'm going to see my ex-Muslims. I put on some new clothes. I tried to wear this hat, which is not doing what I wanted to do.
You know what, Jimmy? Recently, I found motivation, but we'll have to have that conversation another time. Did you want to show us your lovely hair?
No. Although my cat seems to have another agenda, it seems to want to show you my hair. But
Yeah,
I don't want to show you my hair because
Jimmy's usually trimmed
criminal,
nice and fresh for all the skinheads.
criminal.
Um,
I'm trying to keep it under control.
But please do, I think people have really found out who you are right now. But please do feel free to introduce yourself and what you do and what you're all about, and where people can find you.
I'd like to introduce this before I introduce myself. This is a Cheeto. I didn't know about Cheetos. No one had ever told me about them. And then one of my friends at uni showed me a Cheeto. I had one. This is like,
You've never heard of Cheetos?
They're like.
Cheeto looks big on the screen, so I was kind of wondering if it's one of those.
I get it rumor because I know what Cheetos are.
It's like what for UK people.
Are the best. The Popak. Iran. I don't want to sound like an Iranian nationalist, but the Iranian Cheetos, they're called Posak. They're absolutely the best in the world. Yeah. So, I'm sorry if you haven't had it.
You have to get us some.
Yeah, you'll have to get us some. So for UK people, like we have What's It. This is like What's It, 10 times better, isn't it? It's like a What's It from God.
Jimmy, we definitely had Cheetos because I used to collect the little Pokemon circles from him. So I grew up on them.
They're new for me. I didn't have them in my youth, but they're amazing.
I get called a boomer because I used to eat Cheetos.
Okay. So we only had What's It.
Anyway,
it's really good to be eating with people, by the way.
Back to it really is. That's why I wanted to do this. Half because I knew it was all going to be fuckery, and half because it's for a good cause. But
does anyone want one cheese? I can pass it to you.
Okay,
I've only got two. I can pass it to you through the screen.
I'm really having a hard time wondering if I'm the one that's drunk or you.
Different. So did you want me to introduce myself? Is that what you want me to do?
Yes, that's what I want you to do. And also what message you have for the people who are having to fast when they don't want to.
God, that's really hard, isn't it?
Really changes the mood.
It changes the mood, especially I've got like banana, I've got Cheetos in front of me. I've got 3 minutes before I have to go and take the oven chips out. So don't do any of those things if you're pretending to fast at home. But I think, what would I say? Gosh, I think it's so compounded at the moment because of isolation. Yeah, like I remember having to pretend to fast, but it was okay because I would just go to school and then eat there. But with no access to that,
just walk to McDonald's.
Yeah, with no access to that, I think it's really quite challenging. I'm in a WhatsApp group with a lot of other who are in that position. Yeah, like their parents, and what they're doing is, I guess this is one thing you can do, is look for the humor in it. Yeah, like I think whatever is going on, sometimes there's a way to find the humor in it, and using that as a mechanism for survival to help you through the darkness. So, for example, what they're doing in that group is they're sharing memes like that their family are sending around on their other family WhatsApp groups. So one of the ones that they shared this morning was, the Prophet said, whoever eats 7 black dates every day will be protected from black magic and from something else, And so we were just musing, like, what if you've only got 5 dates left in your house on that day? Like, what percentile of protection do you get from black magic if you're only having 5 dates? So I think
all of it.
All of it. Maybe like 20% less. But I think, finding, because as much as we're in this isolation, we have got technological advantages that we didn't have when I was in that situation, So I didn't have my own mobile phone at all when I was pretending to fast. But I think utilizing these mechanisms to build like secret communities so you've still got outlet is instrumental in survival, like in terms of our mental health when we're in in these lockdown times. Yeah. And I think that's going to be the way that to see each other through it. The other thing you could do, and again, this is some ex-Muslim friends have kind of taken this up as well, is seeing how well you can play the part. It can be quite an entertaining
Yes. You know
to do as
what?
well.
The one skill that I have truly gained from pretending to fast in Ramadan is that I can act extremely sober when I'm not.
Yeah, so I can resonate with that because, as gay as I am, I used to have to act very heterosexual, even when so it's kind of the same thing, right? Like, you just have to embrace the part sometimes, see how well you can act on it,
Jimmy,
see how many people you can
I do
fool.
not think that is the same thing.
It's not really, but I mean,
it gotta be this. It gotta be the same thing. For in Jimmy's experience, I just imagined it. I visualized it.
I mean,
pretending to be.
I'm gay as hell for everybody.
I had to get girlfriends, guys. I had to get girlfriends. My timer's gone off. I need to go see what's happened to my oven chips.
Okay.
Don't judge me when they come here because I'm learning to cook this Ramadan. That's one of.
I wish I had a soundboard so I could play "Burn Baby Burn," but go for it.
Okay,
take your camera with you, Jimmy, so that we can see what's gone down.
I can't. You're on the desktop. So I can't take you with me. I'll be back in 1 sec. Don't laugh because last time I tried it, they all turned black. But I tried again. So trying is what counts.
That's your learning to cook. Oh, bless.
Well, Jimmy's gone. Please, in the chat, just roast his chips for us, please. Thank you, Maryam, for joining us. Maryam's just notified me that she has to leave quite soon because her husband has made us a dinner. Please do. Oh, can you tell us what he's made just before you leave?
Well, the thing is that we've got a 14-year-old son who only likes English food. So we have like our rice and our kholesh, which is kind of like an Iranian curry. And also, of course, we eat lots of Indian food because I'm also Indian, even though I don't look it. And, but we're having cod and chips now because it's my son's turn to choose the food that he wants to have. So having cod and chips, but like freshly made with, it's going to be yummy.
Zara's just waiting in the lobby.
Okay.
And she's asked you, in what way are you Indian?
Okay, yeah. No, so I had explained it earlier, but actually both my parents are born in India, if you can believe it. Okay. Even my father, who's Iranian, was born in India because his dad, my grandfather, was teaching Arabic at Calcutta University. So my dad was brought up in Calcutta. Many of his brothers and sisters were born in Calcutta. Some were born in Najaf in Iraq. Some were born in Iran, in Shiraz. And my mom is Nepalese. Her father was half Scottish, half Nepalese. And they lived in Kalimpong, which is a small village town near the Himalayan mountains. They owned a hotel there. And actually the first expeditions on the Himalayan mountains started from my mom's hotel, her family's hotel. And my mom had come to Calcutta for work, and she met my dad at a party, and she decided that she was madly in love with him, and he was leaving back to Iran in 2 weeks' time. So she went back to Iran with him. Is that psychotic or something?
Okay, psychotic, yes, but also very romantic.
Very romantic. So my mom is actually, born in India. She's Nepalese ethnicity, so it's that area of India that was annexed from Nepal. So they're all Nepalese there, but she had an Indian passport. And my dad was also born in India, but then when he finished university, he went to Iran, and so then they both went to Iran together, got married there, and I was born a year later, almost. And so that's why we have, we're like really Indian as well, in the sense that, for example, one of my aunts lives in Bhimtal, which is a hill station in India, and she spends half her time in Kathmandu. So we have a lot of Indian family as well. So we eat a lot of Indian food. We eat a lot of we watch a lot of Indian movies. We do a lot of Indian things. Yeah.
Just wait until Ali Malik comes on.
And then we've also got the Iranian side. So we're like a good hodgepodge of stuff. Yeah. So
that's good.
That's fine.
I'm heavily inbred, so I'm 100% Bengali. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us,
I
Maryam.
love you guys. Thank you so much for having me. And I feel so happy to be amongst you guys.
We miss you so much. Oh, Sam,
I love this so much. Can we do this every day, please? Really
I would love. But Ramadan Mubarak and enjoy your meal.
Happy Fast-Defying, everyone. Keep remembering all the people who are being persecuted during this month. And we have to keep pushing the space open for people who want to be able to eat and drink as they want without any sort of pressure, force, violence against them. Love you guys. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
So that was Maryam. It's been just over an hour that we've been eating and drinking quite heavily on camera. Thank you all for joining us. We have another guest coming in just a second. We've got her in the lobby. Jimmy's got his almond milk. He's becoming a vegetarian. Represent. Please do feel free to remember to like, share, subscribe. Make sure to share this with your friends. Grab some food, grab some drinks. You know, we're all just having some fun here. And for those of you who can't, let us do the eating for you. Live vicariously through us. So now we have Zara Kay, who's about to join.
How do I share this on my phone? Hey!
Zara, guys, I'm speaking Swahili, by the way, because just embarrassed.
You know what? At the beginning of this, when Jimmy walked in, I was like, this was a mistake. I can't be doing this right now. That made it all worth it. What the fuck fell behind you?
That was a mobile wardrobe. But just like, I ran to be here and show you guys my snacks. Tesco cookies and chips. I ate
cookies.
Craig made me a bacon and beef burger, and then I ate it while Maryam was talking, and I was like,
okay. So for those
Can I just
of you
ask?
who are...
I'm going to put a link onto my Facebook. How do I get people to watch this?
So I've put the YouTube link in the WhatsApp group chat.
Is
what
hosting
YouTube
or joining as a guest?
So Saf, unfortunately, she's given her apologies. She can't help me host today. She had some bad news this morning, so she's a little stressed out. So she's just chilling, relaxing. But we're managing here, sweating profusely because I'm managing so many people. But it's going fine.
Can I ask, what channel on YouTube is this on? Whose channel?
My channel, Faye the Most Gracious. You're a stan. You know.
There is a link. There is a link that I posted.
I posted.
I'm on my desktop, so
as well.
I'm going to find you on YouTube, Faye.
So I'm just going to post a link.
I think I tweeted a couple of minutes ago. So if that's like easy,
I'm going to tag Jimmy.
Oh yeah, that's easy. Yeah. If I find your tweet, I can.
Yeah,
I've tagged you on Twitter as well, but I'm gonna do it on Facebook.
Also, Zara.
Okay, cool. So this is it.
Really good. The hair's looking really good.
Your help. You're gonna be on camera.
Is that Craig?
We should have Zara
Craig's
say
also growing his hair.
Craig!
We should have Zara say the message in Swahili.
Craig, get in here.
Hey, can you hear me? Hi, Craig!
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me or not?
It was. That was just my bum on the live stream.
That's all good.
Live stream.
Craig's OnlyFans.
Oh, he can hear you now.
Hi, Craig.
Hi, Craig.
Craig.
Hey, Craig.
Yeah, we got the Craig smile back. We missed that smile. Yay! Someone's asking me why don't I turn a fan on.
You on live. Because I haven't.
Oh
Hi,
yeah, you guys haven't met.
No, yeah, we haven't met.
No, I haven't
This-
met.
Halima?
This is my token
Oh,
wife.
just
Yeah.
so you know, that's how short Craig actually is.
And she lives in the Netherlands, and I knew her from my first March 8th. Was it March 8th? March 23rd event, the Atheist Day event.
Yeah.
And she was meant to say, like, she's a poet, and she was meant to like have, I was gonna say sing a poem.
She asked some poetry you can sing.
And then she couldn't make it because of visa, because we both have, well, I had an African passport and she still has it. I
I still have an African passport, yeah.
I didn't mean to rub it in. It's sad times. Oh, hey, well, how do you guys like my glasses?
They're
I was
beautiful.
commenting on your hair. The hair looks good.
And the shirt too.
Mhm.
Oh, thanks. It's a crop top.
Oh wow.
Wait, have you? Wait,
Oh.
I have to. Do you know that guy on Twitter that said people with crop top and nose piercing and tattoos are whores?
Hi, how are you?
I know that's what I was gonna say, and I'm like,
But
Right.
anyway, Zara, I
can we
think
talk-
most people on my channel know who you are, but can you please introduce yourself and what do you do? And what message would you like to share with the people who don't want to fast but are being made to fast
In
Great,
Swahili.
in Swahili? What is that?
okay, I'm English, then I'm going to do Swahili with English because that's the best. Ooh, potatoes.
Great.
I want. Yeah, so my name is Zara. Faye and I work together in Faithless Hijabi. Faye has taken a break from it.
For
But
like
she'll
a
be back
year.
soon. For like a year. No. She still does some art for us. And I'm an ex-Muslim and I'm from Tanzania. I was born in Tanzania. I've lived in Malaysia and then Australia and now here for a while. And by here I mean the UK.
Mhm.
And I guess my message to those who are pretending to fast is, one, I have a few tips coming out on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, so you'll see that. But mostly, like, stay strong, hide some food. We're not going to judge you if you have food in your pockets hidden, or drink
We've all
tap water or toilet
all
water.
been there.
You'll be fine.
Anything with a
actually-
packet.
I've actually never had to pretend to fast. I used to cry it out when I was 9 or 10. I'm like, I really need food, and then I would have water by mistake, and I'm like, that was so good, and I'm like, now I need to tell my mom, don't I? My mom was pretty relaxed about it because my mom's a smoker, and she hasn't been fasting for a while. She's like, I can't do it. She tried before, and she's like, I can't do it. So I guess in her end, it felt a bit hypocritical. Like she would go like, oh, you have to fast. And then like, my mom's like also very compassionate. She'll go like, but you're only 12 and it was such a hot day. Here, have some water. Here, go have last night's food. So she's really nice. Only because she is, I guess, she does pray like 5 times a day. She's quite religious and she has some traditional values. But when it comes to fasting, she doesn't want to feel like a hypocrite. So I feel like with some of your parents, they might be understanding as well. Fake illnesses, if your periods extend it for like a day before or like for like 2-3 days later,
beginning and
then
end
just
is
go
a good
like,
one.
oh, what? Yeah, beginning and end is a good one because like sometimes people do bleed for longer. Girls, women do bleed for longer and sometimes they don't, but like try extending it and then like pretend to fast for like a week or something and then just go like, oh no, I have a migraine, oh no, I have sinusitis, and then like put some pepper in your nose and like start sneezing and go like, oh, I have to have my hay fever pills.
Also,
Right.
there
We
is
can-
no
we can
shame.
We can
There is
fake
no-
diseases.
Hold on. There is no shame in putting packeted items of food in your socks or in your underwear.
Yeah, I mean,
I did
you know
that.
what?
Did that
Like,
all the time.
okay, well, I never had to do that, but I always felt really embarrassed of like wearing a hijab and eating in public.
Mhm.
I specifically remember I was in Malaysia and I was with a friend who wasn't fasting, and I was like, but I had like half a hijab on. And now this is Malaysia. I'm not Malay. I don't look Malay. I speak English. I went to a restaurant, and some of the restaurants were open because they were in the student and international area. And they're like, we're not going to serve you food. We'll give you takeaway. And I'm like, they're like, we'll serve the guy food, but because you wear a hijab, we can't serve you food. And I was like, you are crazy. Like, I was like, okay. So I just had to watch my friend eat, and they wouldn't let me eat there, which was funny. Like, it was surprising because I had never been, I guess, discriminated like that. Like, it should be my choice if people want to look at me in like while I'm eating. But yeah, no, it was really weird. Ooh, sweet potato chips.
You cooked them really well this time, Jimmy.
Last time they
well done.
turned up the whole kitchen.
Well done. What have you got, Halima?
Oh my God, what have you got, Halima? What is that?
I can't hear you. Your mic is muted.
What has Halima got? It looks like.
Okay, I got hummus on bread, and then some carrots and apples and chips, and I filled it up. You know, I'm
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I have a quesadilla and some Mexican chips, and I have a bottle of Doritos, but I can't find my bottle opener, so I'm having alcohol instead. So Zara, you've introduced yourself. You've talked about. Oh, you said you were going to give us a Swahili message. I've never heard you speak Swahili before. Prove it.
Okay, well, before I speak in Swahili, you all have to know I failed all my exams. It is the only other. It is the only other language I can read, speak, understand, and write apart from English. And Tanzanian Swahili is fluent and a lot better than.
It's actually better. It's actually more the dictionary.
The fluency. It's more complex than like Kenyan Swahili. So like Tanzanian Swahili could be like, oh, are you going to come here? And then Kenyan Swahili will be like,
guys, this is the biggest warm up to a message in a native language.
Welcome, Zara.
It's longer than the message. Can I have the message, please? Like, can I hear this
like Angel Jibril to Muhammad, just being like, read.
Yes.
Jina yangu ni Zara, nimetoka Tanzania. Ninaishi London. What else can I say? Watu wanao. What is force? Wanaolazimishwa.
Wanaolazimishwa kufunga Ramadhani.
Yeah. Wanaolazimishwa kufunga Ramadhani.
I feel like I've put you in the hot seat, Zara. You don't need to do this.
No, it's so cute.
Guys, come on, round of applause.
Round of applause.
I'm like having a ball here, so go on it.
Yeah.
Can you give us something in Somali? Can you give us one in Somali?
Okay, no. Hold on. Zara, can you tell me you love me in Swahili?
Nakupenda sana, Faye.
Yay!
And I said so much.
Oh, thank you.
I
love you too.
So, guys, can we talk about RuPaul's Drag Race?
Yes. I was gonna tell you to take that. Go on, Jimmy. As a resident gay and me being a bisexual, so technically I don't exist. Go for it.
We should talk about.
It's
just a phase.
I would love to hear the story of being of trying to be straight in a Ramadan situation.
Okay, yeah, let's do that first, and then we'll move on to RuPaul's Drag Race.
Trying to be straight in a Ramadan situation, but trying to be straight wasn't just a Ramadan situation. It was like
a lifestyle
to be straight for the whole. It wasn't just 1 month. I tried to pretend to be straight for. My parents weren't going to be down with that. You had to try and pretend to be straight all of the time. So, yeah, that was crazy. Those were crazy times. I remember like being really even aware of like, Halima, how I would cross my legs. Like if I was sitting in a room with people, I'd want to put one leg over the other like that. but it was more masculine to put like my heel on top of my thigh.
Yeah,
you know,
take up 4 seats. Yeah.
so yeah, I had to man spread around it. But I, you know, and I had girlfriends as well. Like, so I was dating women to pretend to everybody else, but I think also pretend to myself that listen,
When Jimmy came out,
was straight.
everyone, all the women just lost hope and love.
Well, actually, I think one of the things that was quite interesting was because I'm Pakistani and I'm quite fair skinned. I think, you know, there was a lot of that whole, oh, he's fair skinned and
a real loss.
His girlfriend, like it's a real loss, you know. Like
he doesn't even need to tint his skin or use Fair and Lovely or nothing.
Fair and Lovely was needed. Was that you've lost some light skinned babies now? Yeah. Yes,
you can get rid of the dark one, just not.
But that's the thing about sitting as well, right? Like it's not just for gay men per se. It's also like as a woman, and maybe Zara can add on this. Is like you told, and maybe this is across the board. I do believe within Islamic circles or Islamic Muslim families. Oh, you're a woman. Oh, you're a girl. Sit like this. Cross your legs like this. You know. And for me, I do remember I was a bit of a tree climbing, you know, I like climbing trees. And so it was always very difficult to frigging keep the dress in such a way that, you know, and you constantly are reminded, oh, sit, don't sit just like that because you're a woman. And you can draw this parallel as well. What you were saying.
I'm a leg shaker, so I used to get told off for that all the time. They're like, people are going to be looking at your legs. I'm like, they're looking at it in a black bag. It's not like you're going to see anything.
But yeah, Halima, the situation and how girls should sit, act, speak, how they should walk was quite common in South Asian, not just Muslim communities, but like South Asian communities and African communities, less so on the religious side and the Christianity side, because that was kind of like not as relevant. But like on the Muslim side, still like with hijab still being prominent as compared to modesty dressing in Christianity. Obviously, some sects, like Jews are a minority, but some sects are quite harsher than other sects. And yeah, it's quite common that like women are told to wear something a certain way and then act something. Like I remember when I went to Morocco and I wore a dress that was knee-length, and it was quite loose. It was meant to be like a loose summer dress. It wasn't something that would even like breeze up because it wasn't like flourish or anything. And I sat down with like manspreading. You can't really see anything because it was a long dress. And my brother's like, it's like, why are you sitting that way? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, people are looking at you. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm just sitting. All I'm doing is sitting. It's not like I'm inviting anyone. It's not like I am doing anything to talk to, like, you know, to incite any sexual assault, right? And in Morocco, the thing is that a lot of men in general, you could be wearing like fully covered, whatnot, no dresses or anything. The men will still harass you. So there was no difference between them harassing me when I was sitting or standing. And my brother and I actually had our first biggest argument there in person for like and like many years. I can wear a bikini, but it doesn't represent a shame on me. It's what other people take off it. And and I'm like, you have a daughter, and I'm like, you have to empower her to be herself and not blame her for how people see you. And it took him like 2 days to like actually understand it. And he's like, I get your point. I think my difference is we come from different places. And in the UK, like a lot of men would be more respectful than like the Middle East or like where he's from. And I'm like, I totally understand that. But as long as you don't think your sister is being a whore, that's what matters to me. I don't care what other people think, but like as long as you start reforming the generations after that to then go like, my daughter can wear what she wants and she needs to be respected for it. So I feel like slowly my family in that way is beginning to change a few things, some of my family anyway. But you know, it's still really hard, and it always upsets me when people go, men have to do this, girls have to do this. And one of my sister was a tomboy, so she used to wear sneakers with an abaya, and she was everybody's favorite sister, like everybody's favorite daughter, like my parents' favorite daughter and sister. So I always wanted to be like her, but it was just never me. But even then, she would get told off for like walking a little like with her legs apart than like in a straight line and whatnot. It was crazy.
Zara, I used to have the same thing about walking. So people will comment, like my family members will comment on my walking.
Me too.
I kind of glide. I don't really walk. Yeah. So that was too effeminate. Like,
You
and
do
also,
glide.
but you glide, right? And so I remember
You do glide. If no one's seen Jimmy walk,
I just
you
glide.
need to.
Really
He's
smooth
like,
and sleek.
it's like a superpower. My dad used to tell me I walk like a man because I walk with purpose. But Halima actually has to go, and we have Ali actually waiting in the lobby. So Halima, do you want to give some final comments? And we'll see you off, and also enjoy your evening.
Yes. Oh, this was so fun. You know, it's amazing that we could do something like this, just to hang out and to also show support to the people who are in different situations. But personally, I'm considering myself lucky in that sense that, you know, yeah, you know, this I don't have to do this, but we're fully aware, whether it's in Muslim majority countries or even in the West or even in the country that I live in, to see people, to be aware of people who have to be in a situation where they can't really be themselves for safety reasons and for you know, the whole ostracization from family, and that I just want to send them my love, and I want to tell them that, you know, one tip that I forgot to mention. It's like, you know, when you're praying and you're forced, and this is to ex-Muslims in the closet who have to fast and pray for show or for, you know, for their families or this and that. When you're doing the prayers, whether it's Tarawih or whatever prayer it is, you know, just imagine you're doing yoga moves, and, you know, you're doing yoga in your mind, but, you know, that's one tip I would say to just survive the situation. You know,
if you're a creative, actually,
yeah, it's private. Nobody's aware of it.
If you're a creative, what I used to do when I was pretending to pray was that I would plan all my stories, because it was like alone time that you could sit and like think about it. But thank you, Halima, for being on. And you know, it's wonderful to have you in our lives, and we wish you the best. I know you've been through quite a few struggles recently.
Yeah.
But you know,
yeah, but I won't talk about it here. And thank you for having me. I do believe Ali is coming in, right?
Yeah, Ali will be joining us.
And cheers,
all right,
you guys. Have fun.
All right, thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so we've got Ali Malik, but before I see him in or let him introduce himself, I have a bone to pick with David Worley. How dare you say that you will wear a dress for Zara, but you won't let me do your makeup so that we can sell tickets to your event? I need answers. I have a real bone to pick with you.
I have the answer.
Thank you for coming.
It's very simple.
Zara, you better pick your words real careful right now.
Because I'm Zara.
Hashtag beautiful China Dave, get it trending. Anyway, Ali Malik, we have you in. I believe you're the last person to join us for this, unless I'm mistaken. Unless Carl is going to join us, which I have my doubts, but I would love him to have him join in. Thank you for joining us. Who are you? What do you do? And what would you like to say to everyone who's fasting throughout Ramadan and not eating Hellmann's mayonnaise or Heinz tomato ketchup, and they don't want to?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me, Faye. This is brilliant you're doing. I've missed all the fun before. Halima's just left. Miss Halima. I haven't seen her.
And Maryam.
And Maryam was here. Marwa, Did she join as well?
No, Maryam didn't join, but I want to put it to everyone who's in the chat right now. We want to do another one, possibly for Laylatul Qadr. So would you like to do that? And who would you like to see? Please leave in the comments. Please leave in the chat. If you wanna have some of your favorite Muslim people come on, please let us know as well. We would love to have a massive argument on Laylatul Qadr.
They'll be busy in Laylatul Qadr. Like they'll be doing their.
I know, but like Ali, like I've said this for a really long time, but this is like their like makeup for jihad. This is like their online jihad. So they would think that they were getting a lot of reward for this. So I would love to host that on my channel. It would be great exposure. But go for it. Who are you? What do you do? Where can we find you? Show your YouTube channel.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at @apostate_Ali, and my channel is called.
Okay, no, you have to tell us who you are before you sell your stuff.
Okay, I'm Ali Malik. I'm an ex-Muslim. I've been an ex-Muslim for about 7 years, and I'm a volunteer at CEMB. And I have my own YouTube channel with Sadia Hamid, where we create our content in Urdu and Punjabi, and sometimes in English, to reach out to people in Pakistan and just try and tell them about our struggle, because there are people like us in Pakistan. There's loads of us, but they're all closeted. They have to live in hiding. And if they dare to come out, they are either prosecuted or lynched or just attacked, or if they are lucky, they're just shunned by their family. In most cases in Pakistan. So for them people, we need to let them know we are here. We are speaking out. We are trying to create a change where at least our existence is accepted, at the very least, and then build on from there.
So 2 things. First thing is, whenever I bring you onto my channel, people are just thirsting for you in the chat, like, hello, stop it. Second of all, I know that you work you work very closely with like very specific cases of these things. So not to make it, too depressing for a second here, but do you have any stories about people who are ostracized, abused, murdered, killed, all of that stuff during Ramadan for eating? If you don't, that's fine. We can keep rolling with the positive vibes. But I think that it's really, really important. I think that it is really, really important to share these stories because it is a reality for a lot of people. And we being so lucky as to be, in the UK and the West, it gives us, it takes us away from that. We don't really get to, like, for us, that's just not imaginable.
Yeah.
So if you do have any stories, please feel free to share. And anyone else, of course.
I mean, there are stories all around, not to do with Ramadan per se, but it's just saying the wrong stuff about religion, about Islam. In countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, we're supposed to be a secular country, but even there, the intolerance is astounding. And countries like Somalia, or all 13 countries wherever they have blasphemy laws. So these laws can be in place on the backings of the support from the masses, because these are either a totalitarian regimes, or at least a theological republics, as Pakistan and Iran likes to call them. And it's both sides, both society and people, and the law prosecute people for saying the right stuff, or actually coming on and trying to talk about positive things. And they don't even have to be ex-Muslims to get into trouble. There are incidents where people have just stood up for women's rights. We have the example of this professor, Junaid Hafiz. He actually didn't commit any blasphemy. There is no proof of him committing any blasphemy. The university had an issue with him because he was bringing in speakers, talking about women's rights, having a debate, having a discussion. He was, and that got him into trouble, and he was sentenced to death. There is story of Mashal Khan. Of course, there's the university student who got lynched by his fellow classmates and university students for just saying the wrong stuff. And when we talk about legally, and the law is so vaguely written, it's just because they. So in case of Pakistan, the wordings of law is something that's deemed blasphemous. So your intention doesn't count in that. If you saying something and somebody else think it's blasphemous, they can actually take a step against you, legal step against you, and you'll be prosecuted for that. So there are lots of stories, but it's first day of Ramadan. Let's talk about Ramadan and food and dates and everything.
I need almond milk.
Jimmy's joining a vegetarian gang.
Yes, I'm so happy about that. I'm so happy about that. And
we only got one carnivore in the room today.
Zara, don't you feel like your stomach is a cemetery?
Yeah, that is why I would eat you as well, Jimmy. I would eat a human being.
Don't you feel like your stomach is everyone at iftar time?
Because I was starting to feel like my stomach is a cemetery, and I thought, you know, I don't want it to be like Pet Cemetery in my tummy. So I was like, it's time to stop eating the meat, you know. But I'm not going to try and convert you. This isn't like veggie dawa. I won't do that here.
It is that was a very vivid imagery. You don't want your tummy. Is it because that guy ate a bat in China? Is that what's happening right now?
Something like that.
But you wanted to address the RuPaul situation, and I said that we could talk about it. And I actually really want to talk about it.
We should talk about it.
I love Jeff Goldblum. Jurassic Park is one of my favorite movies. I've always stand him, and now I didn't think I could stand him harder, but I am right now. And he's getting cancelled for asking 2 questions on a drag show. So please, as our resident gay, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't watch RuPaul's Drag Race, and I know that that's a really non-gay thing to say. It's probably like gay blasphemy.
Are you even gay, Jimmy? Like
they all love it, but it's just not for me. So RuPaul's Drag Race had an Iranian Canadian drag queen on it, and you know they all sew up their own costumes and they do the walk. So she walked out, and the theme was Stars and Stripes. You know, like America's Stars and Stripes, yeah. And so when she walked out in Stars and Stripes hijab. She, I think maybe he, because it's a drag queen, so I think he walks out, or she. I think maybe she. I think she walks out in a.
They, he, she,
walk
they.
Out.
Okay, yeah.
No, I think it's she. So I think she walks out in a hijab, and you know, so she walks to the panel and stuff.
You know what her name was?
Joan.
Her drag name.
I don't know her drag name. So she walks out, and you know they always talk to them at the end like about their outfits, and so like what's it about? And she was like, "Oh no, I'm here to represent like religious minorities in America." And then Jeff says to her, and you know you can see when you're watching the clip, he's kind of articulating his thoughts out loud. Yeah, so it's kind of like his for some of us, I think we think very well, and others we to think. So there's some people who think to speak and others speak to think. Yeah. So he's clearly somebody who's speaking to think. He's like talking out loud saying, isn't there some sort of something in that religion that's inherently homophobic or
anti-women?
Anti-women. I don't know. I might be saying something stupid, but the question is just occurring to me. Literally kind of what he said. And he even said, you know, a question that's come up in my mind. And so people on Twitter have gone a bit nuts about, you know, essentially the Islamophobia of his comment, and actually other religions are also homophobic. Why is he singling?
We need to.
Why is he singling out Islam? I love that one. We
need to destigmatize this talk about Islam. I think that it's ridiculous that anyone who brings up anything, like Justin Bieber made a comment about fasting and he almost got cancelled. You know, like fasting isn't even exclusive to Islam. We need to completely destigmatize that because it's actually ridiculous. Like if you cancel a king like Jeff Goldblum, like are you really doing the right thing? Are you really on the right side?
I think what also happened was there was
one of the reasons.
Go for it, Zara.
I was going to say one of the reasons is always like it's always one group that always feels attacked and starts victimizing themselves. It's like everybody is after us, you know. When I think it was Justin Bieber? Yeah, Justin Bieber posted up something about fasting, and they're like, "Oh, they're attacking Islam," and everyone's like, "Mate, this isn't even about you. Like,
I'm
get
pretty sure
over
it was
yourself.
about Lent, actually.
This old Jeff Goldblum thing, I was going through some of the tweets. I don't think it's most Muslims who are going on about it. I
No,
saw
No.
non-Muslims who don't.
it's the lefties that are going on.
Exactly.
Queer Muslims were going on about it, and the lefties, normal Muslims aren't going on about it because they ain't watching RuPaul's Drag Race. If you think that normal Muslims are watching
Imagine.
RuPaul's Drag Race in their Muslim house, you
That's
are
like
crazy. Like
literally
that is some when your
one of
mum and dad have gone to bed, like type show you might watch, or
that's
when
like
nobody
one
else
of my
in the house is
cousins
there.
walking into a pub, seeing me there, and trying to tell on me. Like, what were you doing there in the first place?
But I thought it was quite interesting and this goes back to what Maryam was saying to you earlier, like that whole identity politics thing came out of it because there was the queer Muslim was saying to Ali Rizzi, you know, how can you endorse this? Jeff isn't from the queer Muslim community. He could have done this in a more sophisticated way.
Nope. Nope.
It
He asked
wasn't
2 questions.
nuanced at all, etc., etc. And I thought, actually, it's really, you know, this whole identity politics is so poisonous. But really, when it came down to it, what happened was you had an artist performing her art, yeah, and drag. You know, the costume of drag. It's so much about that art because it's all about costume, isn't it? And her art produced a response from the audience, which was to elicit this question. And that's the thing about art. It makes you think, it makes you ask questions. It might not necessarily make you ask the questions that the artist wants you to ask, or even come to the conclusion that the artist wants you to conclude. But art is there to make you speak, to make you think, to make you question. So when she has this deliberate costume that's there to make you ask a question and make you think, just because he's asking the question that she doesn't necessarily want him to ask, that's a ridiculous thing to condemn when the purpose of art is to produce questions. That's my thoughts anyway.
And those were completely innocent and justifiable questions, actually. Completely justifiable. And the answer to me is yes.
Yes.
It's a pretty clear. He didn't even make an assertion. He just asked 2 questions, which is what I was so taken aback by. But on the topic of drag queens, I went to a brown gay event like in February. It's a really good event. Ali said that he's jealous he didn't get to go, but I mean, I posted it on Twitter and nobody said they were going. So,
what was this?
So this was
Club
Carly, yeah. And I met, because there was a big event there that was being thrown by the You Don't Love Me podcast guys who have been on this channel once before. And I met a drag queen there called Val Qaeda. And her performance was very inspiring. So you can find, I think she's a Brummy, she lives in Birmingham, but I'm pretty sure you can find her on Instagram and stuff. So you could go check out her work. If anything, I don't think she'd have a problem with Jeff Goldblum's statements. Question.
It was just a question. It wasn't even a statement. Like you have to be able to look at art and ask questions.
How far have we gone with this that you can't even ask questions anymore?
It's completely become an intellectual no-go area for some people. And I mean, if you don't want to look into something, if you think ignorance for you is a bliss, we can see what's happening in Muslim majority countries. We can see homosexuality being prosecuted, or at least people being discriminated against on the basis of it. We see women being prosecuted in countries like Iran every day. And these people who stand for individual rights, who stand for people's freedom and liberty, as they claim, are completely ignorant of it. Not just they're not willing to learn about it. And anybody who dares asking this simple question to actually take a step further in learning something new, and they gang up on him and just say it's a completely no-go area. Just don't even ask any question about it. How would you learn? How do you go about solving anything?
And also the idea that you can't ask these questions unless you're part of that community is so it's so silly, because I think we have to acknowledge that when you're part of a community, it does give you some kind of default insight and education of that community. That is true. So I think as when I was Muslim, I definitely knew more about Islam because I was born a Muslim than my Christian friends did. But at the same time, because I was born a Muslim, yeah, or whatever identity group you belong to. So because I was born a Muslim, or maybe because I am gay, you also have bias for that community. Yeah. Like, so when people would try to criticize Islam, I'd get defensive straight away. Yeah. And even when I was ex-Muslim, when white people used to criticize Islam and say something like, oh, yeah, you know, we have to face up to the fact that Islamic communities. Sorry, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So what I was saying was, like, you know, when you're part of an identity, acknowledge that whilst it gives you some insider knowledge, it does also give you bias. Yeah. When I was even ex-Muslim, and I used to hear white people criticize Islam, and I remember one of my white friends, who was a girl, saying, you know, when it comes down to women, they have some backwards. Yeah. And I was like when she said that, and I was ex-Muslim at the time, I was like, who is this white girl talking about or saying we've got backwards practices, you know? Like, but that position, even though, you know, now I can be really honest and say, look, we have got some backwards practices in the Muslim community towards women. My biases, defense mechanisms kicked in because I was part of that community. So we have to acknowledge that being part of a community doesn't give you some inherent right to criticize it, and actually, conversely, can cause you to protect it, for you to defend it, for you to not be objective about what is bad in the community. So when we, and you know, if you have a business and you need an audit, often you'll get an external auditor in and audit your business, because if you do an internal audit, it's not going to be as objective. Similarly, with communities, just because you're part of an identity community, it doesn't mean you're the only person who gets to comment on it. And sometimes external commentary on a community is more objective and more valid than the internal commentary.
Yeah.
I also feel like the good part about this, or like this era, is that we're increasingly seeing more people come out as ex-Muslims, ex-critics. Like, it's becoming more and more free as it was, as compared to like a few years ago, right? So like we've gotten a lot better than it was a few years ago. But at the same time, I find it really hilarious that a lot of Muslims criticize us for being anti-Muslim bigots when we are also racialized as such as well, especially with our names. So when people find out my name is Zara, like automatically in their head, if they wanted to be racist against me, given I'm also a critique of Islam, and if I am suggesting any anti-Muslim bigotry, that would also affect me or my families, right? And I find it hypocritical that a lot of people think that, hey, only I can talk about it, and because you talk about it and you're not proud of it, you don't get attacked. And I'm like, no, bigots are going to be bigots, and they are going to attack any person who fits their criteria of it. And that doesn't mean that because I've left or because I am not of the religion, I can't talk about it. But I feel like it's continuously being talked about, but also increasingly being scrutinized. Like that speech, that area of free speech is increasingly being canceled or criticized. So I feel like the fight is coming from both areas. And like at some, like I don't think we should even give up or let any side win. I think we should continue to advocate consistently advocate for free speech, even if that includes hate speech, because if you're shutting people up, you're not changing their ideas. You're only endorsing their ideas because there's so much demand to shut that idea. I feel like constructive conversations should happen. So, you know, like with Jeff Golden's case, you know, when he goes like, well, isn't it? The person could have defended. I didn't see the whole show. The person could have gone like,
she responded.
What did she respond?
She did say, you know, she had misgivings about the treatment of gay people in Muslim communities, but then at the same time she was representing like religious minorities. And you know, like I think in all honesty, like, you know, I do struggle with this. You know, so I think as ex-Muslims and even as often progressive Muslims, whenever we see, like, you know, like in The Walking Dead, there's a hijabi now. In Grey's Anatomy, there's a hijabi now. In EastEnders, there's a hijabi now. Like in every TV show, they're putting
There's a
in
hijabi in The Walking Dead.
There's
Doesn't
a
she have enough
hijabi.
problems?
Exactly. But so there's a hijabi in The Walking Dead, and I think she's married to a non-Muslim, so I don't know about that. But I guess when the zombie apocalypse comes, maybe you can compromise. Maybe Muslim women can marry
you can
non-Muslim
commit
men.
zina, but you can't take off that fucking bag.
No, but in the zombie apocalypse, maybe Allah's more forgiving for you to marry a non-Muslim
I don't
man.
think Allah's
You better
forgiving
cover
anyone
your
in
hair.
the zombie apocalypse.
But you better still cover your head no matter what.
You can't let the zombies see you.
That's why you reformers are heretics. You are actually proposing a change in the perfect religion ever created.
Yeah.
Ali, like, take your Salafi butt home, man. Like, we're not here for that. Also, people are asking where you've gone from your channel.
I'm still around.
Where have you gone?
Sorry?
Where have you gone, Ali?
He's taking a break from Park Atheists, but
I was. Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. Where did you go, and are you coming back?
I am definitely coming back. I think I'll start my live streams, the Sunday live streams, from coming Sunday, not tomorrow.
When are you having me on?
I'm gonna do 2 live streams every week. So the first is gonna be, I haven't decided on a day yet, which is gonna be like a conversation or interview kind of situation, where I'll be talking to people. And the Sunday one has always been talking to my audience, talking to people, getting them on, and just having a conversation with as many people as possible every Sunday. I'm gonna start that back soon. My videos will be back up soon as well, hopefully by the mid of next week. I was just dealing with some personal stuff. I had to take a bit of break from everything, and I'm ready to come back. And from next Sunday, my live streams are gonna start. And thank you for all the love and all the messages I've got in last month or so that I've taken that break.
There's quite a few in the chat right now. They really miss you, so we better see you back on that channel. I've just been told by Little Bird that Zara has to leave soon. So Zara, do you want to give us your final sort of thoughts, statements? We'll see who stays until the end, where it's just going to be me and the alcohol. But please do. Okay, that was Zara.
Sorry. Yeah, thank you so much for organizing this.
Your hair is like killing your.
Sorry, I'm back now.
That's okay.
Thank you so much for organizing this, Faye. It was really nice. We should do this weekly. Who knows who can join? And I feel like a lot of people.
Up the game night.
Yeah. Oh, should we live stream the game night?
Cards Against Humanity.
It's like game night.
What's the game night?
I haven't created a group yet because Mimsy doesn't want to be in a group, so I'm going to message everybody individually to check their calendars. Ali, don't worry, you're there. I've just never got to like actually plan it.
We're not going to leave you out this time.
When was he left out?
When we all got high in Amsterdam.
Oh.
But that's okay.
But he didn't want to get high. We asked
I didn't
him.
want to get high. Yeah.
He did actually. It was his idea originally to get high on shrooms, and I kind of ran with it. And the reason Armin went to buy them was because I suggested it to him, and then we all got high without Ali. So Ali didn't get to try mushrooms when it was originally his idea.
It was my idea. It was my idea for you guys.
Did you guys have that? Can you guys talk about this? I don't understand this. I saw it in movies.
It's called ripping your foundation.
Yeah, but I don't understand. I think it's a mostly Pakistani thing. I don't know.
It's very Pakistani thing to do.
Because we never had it. I only saw it in the television, and then some people would do it. But they always got it from like.
No, Bengalis are more sincere. They get on their knees and they cry and they Maaf karo, please.
No, when she has, it's like
Halima that.
Very rhythmic as well. I quite like the rhythm of Shia's like.
Oh yeah, they're
like, okay. We've gotten into self-flagellation now. Zara, what are your final thoughts? And
Bye, guys. Thank you so
when are we
much for
live
having
streaming
us.
this game night?
I'm going to check with everybody if that's what they want to do, or if they just want to keep it to just us playing games and having fun without everybody else. But yeah, I am going to contact you guys as soon as possible. I will coordinate with Minzy.
Okay. All right. We'll be looking forward to that. And we might actually do another mukbang in the coming, like in the next 20 days. I would love to stage one on Laylatul Qadr or in the last 10 days of Ramadan.
Yeah, I wanna focus on Laylatul Qadr as well. I want to see what you guys did, what we did.
We want to
how that was different.
You know what we should do? We should do a recap of last year, because Laylatul Qadr is when you get your rizq.
Yeah,
so,
I want to talk about destiny as well.
Yeah. But yeah, so thank you for coming on, Zara. Sorry, alcohol brain. Thank you for coming on. It's always lovely to have you. Your hair's looking great. I don't know where Craig is, but send him my love. And thank you. We'll link up soon.
Bye, guys. Have fun. Bye,
Bye.
Hassan Radwan has actually offered to recite some Quran for us.
Oh, that'd be lovely. Surah Yusuf.
Oh my God, do it. Bring him in.
Can we have a competition?
434. 434.
Can we have a competition?
Yeah. What's your favorite surah? I want Hassan Radwan to recite Surah Yusuf for me.
Hassan, do you want to join the live chat? I can send you the link.
That'd be lovely.
I think I've got him on Facebook. Hassan is legit my granddad right now.
He's amazing, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yasin. Oh, Yasin's quite nice as well.
Yasin is quite a nice surah. I like Surah Al-Kahf and Surah.
I can't believe you guys actually got
Yusuf
favorite
most, I think.
surahs.
The story of Yusuf is brilliant. Do you not remember?
Jimmy, man, when your options are ISIS or reading the Quran, you got to pick one.
I never had a favorite surah. I like that it's only the vegetarians left. Like, we've got rid of all of the meat eaters, just like they do to the animals.
Oh yeah,
now we can talk shit about them. Like, could you believe that she eats bacon and beef?
Exactly. I didn't know you were a vegetarian.
Look, you know
How long
what?
have you been a vegetarian?
I'm not even gonna lie. Half the reason that I became a vegetarian was because Ali kept having the vegan debate over dinner. Like, he kept the first massive one. David was fucking there. He's gone now from the chat, but I'm gonna chat so much shit about him.
Is David vegan as well?
He was there. He started it. It was at Zara's fucking birthday party, and okay. What happened was, right? We were talking about veganism because we talked. Oh, Jimmy's gone. You already know this story. Are you back?
Say that again. Say that again.
So basically what happened, right, was that when I went on David's podcast, we talked a little bit about veganism, and he brought it up at this
Is David the vegan?
No, he's not. He's a fucking carnivore. But he brought it up at Zara's birthday dinner. At Zara's birthday dinner, me, because I'm a cheap hoe and Ali was broke at the time, we decided to split a meal. So I was eating veggie that night, and also he was like talking about veganism, and I had said I don't think that killing animals for food is immoral, and Ali said what so loud everyone in the fucking restaurant knew he was an immigrant. Everyone. So then that became a fight. And then we also fought about immigration later that night, but that's a whole other story. Wait, Jimmy, you weren't there that night, were you?
No. How long have you been veggie then?
Huh?
How long have you been a veggie?
Since January.
Oh, okay, that's quite new.
Yeah, Zara's gone, so I can say this now, but she she took me to a steakhouse for my birthday.
That was an amazing vegetarian birthday. What did you have? Like, were you like, can I have the bun of a burger?
I took a break on my birthday. Not gonna lie, I took a break on my birthday, but I've been quite religiously veggie. Other than that, I also had to pay for my dead animal.
You had to pay. Well, you paying hidya?
Not as much as a. Not as much as the animal had to pay.
Oh,
Paid with his
definitely
life.
not as much as that animal had to pay.
Guys, let's talk about Ramadan. It's okay. We are ready. Let's not turn it
Okay.
into
How are we gonna piss off all of the Muslim da'is this Ramadan?
All of the who?
All the Muslim,
Da'is.
all the da'is. I didn't really need to say Muslim da'is. They're all Muslim.
What is it? What is a dotty? What is a dotty? Just for anybody watching this is what always happens. I try and say a word that has some ethnic connotation to it,
In a
but I'm not
room,
pronouncing it well.
in a
And then
room,
these guys laugh at me.
everyone knows that Ali's an immigrant, and everyone knows that Jimmy is a coconut.
It's true. Coconuts are vegetarian, so it's all right. But,
Coconuts are
but what is a dotty? For the viewers, obviously I know what a dotty is.
a
But for the
da'i,
viewers,
a da'i, a
what is a
dati,
dotty? For the viewers?
da'i, a dati,
Ali, they made
dati.
Zara say something in Tanzanian. It was worse than my Pashto.
Oh, it was really bad. It was
Yeah.
really, it was
It was
really
worse than my Pashto. I was like, oh my god, this is really, really bad Tanzanian. Like, it was hard. It was hard to listen to.
You know how you know times have changed since coronavirus has hit? I'm the one drinking the red wine, and not Ali.
I don't drink alcohol.
Shut up. You bought all of the drinks that night at Zara's birthday party, okay? I know you.
They were non-alcoholic ones.
Still don't know what a dotty is. Can someone tell me what a dotty is, please?
That's not what the bouncer said when we were fighting about who's an immigrant and who
I
isn't.
think Jimmy has an important thing to talk about.
I'm gonna have to ask the group chat in a second. Like, what's a dotty, people?
You know, okay, a da'i is someone who spreads Islam, a preacher, someone who does
Like
da'wah.
people who give dawah.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
We don't have to piss them off. They're constantly pissed off.
You also wrote
Really?
Well, I think we should talk about, like, if we're going to talk about dawah, we should talk about Speaker's Corner.
I'm making that into a t-shirt.
Amazing day.
I am making that into a t-shirt. What is
What's
a dati?
Dati.
Is that how you spell it?
No, it's not. It's got no
I didn't
T
know
in
what it
it.
was.
But yeah, so I have a series on my channel where I just report stupid arguments on the internet. Yeah, it's going really well, but they take like 6 hours to edit, so I'm not looking forward to editing the next one. Well, I am actually, because I really do enjoy it, but then because I'm doing everything on the floor because I'm poor and also sunnah, it really hurts my back. So yeah, but I have like a little team now who find me arguments to get into.
That's nice. That's nice. It's the first day. Did you guys get any Ramadan messages? Somebody? Nothing?
I mean, a WhatsApp group.
Just my grandmother reminding me that she would burn me alive.
One at a time, please.
Stephanie, how many bottles of wine have you had, Faye?
That much? Not much.
Someone's at the door.
But I did start before I started live streaming, so I've been pretty sober until now.
Okay, I get it. You're making me want to go and get a drink. So Ali, what were you asking?
Have we got any Ramadan messages? Anything?
No, apart from if you have 7 dates in the morning, the Prophet said it will protect you from black magic.
Okay.
Is that what you're eating?
No, but I thought, what if you've only got 5 dates? Then what happens?
Then you're not protected.
Not protected.
Are you like 75% protected from black magic? Like half the shield.
That's a no added sugar kind of protection. That's a diet protection. A diet protection 0.
Well, it's kind of like budget. Like you're on a budget. Your budget black magic protection.
No,
That was the
man.
only one I had.
The jinn don't discriminate between rich and poor. They just go and they just go after whoever the hell they want. You think witches got time to you think witches aren't going to prey on the poor and the weak? Come on.
No, they do. They do. Castles. Jinns like to live in castles a lot more than they do in huts.
I thought they live under trees.
They live in empty spaces. So like the sea, the desert. I listened to a whole Anwar al-Awlaki
They live in the sea.
lecture about it ages and ages ago.
You say they live in the sea.
On the sea. They
float
around on the sea. I don't fucking know. I've never met one.
I can't just make stuff up and say it's Islam.
I'm not making it up. I'm not making it up. That's why, you know what? There is narrations. I don't know if they're authentic or not, but it doesn't really fucking matter, to be honest. Like, it's just mythology. But the reason why sailors go crazy is because of jinn.
What does the jinn do to them? Like, what do they do to them? Why do they go crazy?
They do what jinn do. Like, what do you mean, what do they do?
I mean, I'm Googling if sailors go crazy.
Yeah, they go crazy because they're out at sea for too long. They're in isolation for too long. And they also don't have sex in a really, really long time.
They're not, though.
What?
There's nothing to support that sailors go crazy on Google. It doesn't say.
Oh, that jinn exists.
I mean, let me
oh,
ask
that jinn exists. Yeah. But I did pirate law long time ago when I was learning about pirates, and a lot of them did go crazy, especially if they drank a lot of seawater.
The first answer to do jinn exist is yes, jinn exists. Jinn do exist. This is from Quora.com.
This is from
believe in this.
Ooh, this is what we should do. We should do a live stream like in 10 days where we get on Ali Dawa or like Asadullah, one of them, and we ask him about jinn.
According to my assumptions, what we call aliens these days may be jinn.
What is this, like an Ahmadi site? Get off that. They're not real.
It's like an Islamic Quran and a Quran question and answer site. So jinns exist, guys.
Oh, jinns are aliens. Oh, is that why everybody wanted to raid Area 51 last year? They wanted to find all the jinns.
Oh, the converting jinns there. Muslim jinns.
Oh my god, they're converting jinns. Don't start conspiracy theories. We already got too many of those.
There's supposed to be like Muslim jinns, though, aren't they?
Yeah, there are.
There are good.
They have free will like people.
Of course, yes. My madrasa teacher, my father's madrasa teacher, used to teach jinn Quran. Well, jinnat, not just a jinn. Jinnat. He used to give them a Quran lesson.
Making the Matrix, I can confirm that is true. All of my Moroccan friends are sorcerers, and when I met their parents, they were sorcerers too. They said one of them had a granny and she was a witch, but that's kind of like a subclass of sorcerer, so I think it's still true.
Hassan Radwan is Moroccan, so he's going to have to clarify for us. He's Moroccan, right? He's Moroccan. Yes, he is.
Egyptian.
He's Egyptian?
Half Egyptian, yeah.
It's all the same. It's all the same. It's like when my mom used to hammer in, you're not Indian, you're Bengali. All the fucking same.
Yeah, Bengalis are Indians. Pakistanis are Indians.
Everyone's an Indian.
We are all Indian. We are like Bangladeshis, Pakistanis, Indians. We are all Indian, guys.
Yeah. Oh, Aryans. We are actually Aryans. And then we have some water. Are you drinking your wine with the cup?
Huh?
Are you drinking your wine? Nice. And I was thinking you've been having tea all this time.
Listen, I'm not minted like y'all ex-Muslims who've been doing this for years, okay? I'm still making my way up here.
It's because the Jews have been sending us money for years. You know.
Maryam Namazie came on with like a glass of champagne and a little wine flute. Like, you can't upstage me on my own show. I'm kidding. Maryam's always going to upstage me. I
love it. Saf said, Faye, have some water, please.
Yeah. I don't know how many after this show. No,
that's like the funniest.
If I was sober for the show, this wouldn't be entertaining. It would just be me having arguments with Ali and Jimmy just trying to stop us.
I'm not having any arguments anymore. I'm trying to be better.
Yeah, that's why you haven't been calling me like.
Well, I feel like you kind of won the argument actually because you made us all vegetarian. I mean, how did that happen? Like,
I
called
played
peer
along the
pressure.
game.
Ali's
you did like
bully.
this, like
Ali's a bully.
subversive, like
He peer pressured
conversion.
us into it.
Well, like
He
it was so
guilted us.
subtly
He
done
used,
as well.
Jimmy, he used a very, very painful trigger to guilt us into becoming vegetarians. That's what he's done. He's a fucking Zionist plant in the ex-Muslim crowd who wants to make us all vegetarians. Go subscribe to Park Atheist. See, I'm not even saying that. He made me say that.
But both of you guys become vegetarian on your own accord. I
Yeah,
had
of
nothing
course.
to do with that.
Ali,
Why
we
you-
know we were taking the piss out of you.
I didn't.
Also, you cut your hair. You cut your hair.
Yeah.
Who cut your hair for you?
My flatmate.
It looks good. Although I was kind of looking forward to, Sasquatch, fucking Bigfoot Ali.
It got so bad.
Hagrid,
Like this hair was coming on top of my ears, and it was completely bad. And
the back of my head is growing back in as well. I need to shave it soon. It's too warm.
I was afraid I'm not gonna get a haircut and I hadn't had a haircut for I think a month before.
Oh, I was ready for you to look hella Jesus-y. I was gonna make a bunch of memes.
We have a Jesus already, so.
Huh?
Carl's our Jesus. You don't need another.
I know, but you're the brown, like you're the probably inaccurate one. But yeah, Carl has a lot of nicknames, so depending on the context of the situation. Someone said Team Cemeteries.
My God, there's quite a lot of vegetarians in the group chat, guys.
Yeah, there are. But Team Cemetery Stomach, okay.
That's quite good.
That's quite good. That's quite good. We like you, Junk Shop Library. That was very witty.
Well,
hey, Saf, keema biryani is not a real thing.
It really isn't, is it?
No.
It really isn't.
I think your mom invented it. I'm sure it's good, but it's not a real thing. I've never...
Controversial opinion.
Andy said that Pakistanis aren't Indian.
Oh,
Andy, that was hard.
I think I'd make a small correction to it. All Pakistanis aren't Indians. So people up north.
We're taking it even more controversial. Okay.
No, that's just true. It's different ethnic groups in Pakistan. So we are Indo-Aryans, people in Punjab mostly, some parts of KPK where Aronjimi Bangash is from, some part of Sindh, but Balochis and Gilgit Baltistanis and
cheese. Is there a place in Pakistan called cheese?
Balochis, like from Balochistan.
I thought he said like below cheese. I feel like cheese is a place, and then below that was like muffins or something, like or some other dearly named geographical region.
Sir, you want me to drink water to this?
Water is needed.
Oh no, water is so not needed. I'm very hydrated.
If there's a place in Pakistan, it would be where I'm from.
Yeah, something that I've just thought about since I realized that I'm 100% Bangladeshi is that it really doesn't fucking matter because no one thinks I'm Bengali anyways.
Western part of India. Oh yeah, nobody thinks you're Bengali. Who thinks you're Malaysian? People say you're Malaysian all the time for some reason.
Listen, someone literally commented on my channel. They commented under my DNA test video. They go, I thought you were Somali.
Wow, I never thought you were Somali.
In what world? But no, a lot of people have guessed me as indigenous American, as like Mexican, like that kind of Hispanic, Spanish, Indian, Pakistani, Iranian, Middle Eastern, Malaysian, Indonesian when I was really young and I wasn't this dark, Chinese, Japanese, Taiwanese, Polynesian, fucking everything. I'm from everywhere. Doesn't fucking matter.
That's good.
Adam and Eve were made from all kinds of clay, people.
And Eve was made from Adam's rib.
Yep, she was technically his daughter.
Wouldn't have made any difference. Like their kids, then they had male and female kids, and then they procreated from their own. So wasn't a big deal back then, was it?
It's a big incest party.
Allah was cool with it back then.
You just gotta procreate.
Allah wasn't cool with them eating some fruit, but he was cool with incest. Oh, we're gonna get in trouble. These people out here trying to cancel Jeff Goldblum for asking a question.
Crazy. Crazy. Why did your iftar, I'm gonna say dastarkhan, but table look like?
So
I mean,
my
that
mom,
was nice. That was one nice thing about Ramadan, though.
Yeah,
it was like it kind of made you all come together for dinner in the evening.
Not when you're the one cooking all day.
That's true.
Oh yeah, we're talking from men's perspective now. Okay.
Yeah. And I would just leave the dishes and they'd disappear.
I used to smell like onions throughout Ramadan. Well, throughout the year, but more so in Ramadan.
But at least you could say you were on your period and eat food. I did used to wish I had a period. Because I want a period.
I actually have PCOS, so I didn't have regular periods. So sometimes I used to be bleeding throughout Ramadan, and other times I never bled throughout the year. So that might be TMI. But what I was going to say is that my mom and myself, we used to cook for the whole masjid because we used to go to a Somali duksi, and they used to put everything, like they used to put all the food in like a massive tal, like a big metal dish. And we all used to sit in the mosque on like the carpet because we were the ultimate floor gang, and we used to sit there and we used to eat with our hands. And my mom's observation from that was, yeah, we'll cook for them, but we won't eat with them. And I was like, why not? And she goes, because they like sneeze into it, they like wipe their nose, and just continue eating. And I was like, fair point. And he was like, and she was like, yeah, your dad and your brother can go and eat with them, but we're not doing that. We're gonna eat at home. Like
I really didn't used to like that. Yeah, I didn't used to like that. All of us eating from the same plate.
Well, we used to do that at home as well.
We didn't do that.
We had a table and we had chairs, but my dad was like, you know what sunnah is making a mess on the carpet. So we used to put down like this top, and we had a tal that we used to all eat from. But yeah, we used to make like hundreds of what Pakistanis would call pakora, but we call dali bura, or buras with dal in them.
With what in them?
Dal.
What's dial?
Dal.
Why are you calling it dial?
Because that's how you say it.
That's not.
Look, you're sitting with someone who's a coconut over here, okay? Like, calm down. Anyways, listen. We're two immigrants. If you're gonna start arguing with me, you're gonna have a bad time. You're on my channel. I can kick you from this really easily. I have the authority here.
Apps on my side. So.
It's fine. Everyone in the chat is fucking thirsting over you anyways. I'm not jealous. Who's jealous? But yeah, we used to make hundreds of them. I learned how to make samosas really well because we used to make hundreds of those. We used to cook them every single day. We used to make a lot of what's it called? I've forgotten what it's called. Like the mushy rice.
Khichdi.
And kishuri. That was nice.
Isn't that for like old and ill people? It's flavor.
So yes, but also my mum used to say if you eat that in Ramadan, then it will stay in your system better. It's just better for you to eat dal and kishuri because it's easy to ingest. But having said that, at suhoor time or sehri time, we used to eat like rice and curry.
Okay. Bit strange, but okay.
My mum didn't learn. My mum didn't learn about nutrition. I'm pretty sure she just made it all the fuck up. Like, it doesn't really matter.
No, like Asian mum did.
Yeah, of course. She used to put like this much oil in everything, so it was good food though.
bloody good food. Yeah.
Everything tasted so good. And the problem is that I learned to cook like that as well. So I don't know how else to cook except into my grave.
So are you cooking at home now? Like, do you cook regularly?
I'm just shoving things in the oven right now. I can't be buying things. There's nothing in the stores. Listen, in where you live, right? You got carnivores. Where I live is all vegans and vegetarians. There is nothing for me to eat. It's just meat. It's just a meat market at Tesco. There's nothing for me to eat.
My local Morrisons, they've got so much choices, so much.
Yeah, I know. You live on the other side of London. Jimmy wants to talk.
When you became vegetarian, did you start putting on weight?
Yes.
Maybe in the beginning.
It's because you eat all those carbs.
It's like it's like before you could just eat a chicken, and even though the chicken died, you were slim.
It's protein.
Now, chicken's alive looking at you like you fat bastard.
The chicken's alive and you can't outrun it.
There is a really good thing that comes with it.
Jimmy, you need to find a boyfriend who can slim you down.
I need to find a boyfriend.
Somebody other than me now.
Yeah. Huh? Other than Ali. Ali's like my.
Well, I mean, we're married, but I mean, you're not really getting any of that cardio in with either of us. So.
Especially under lockdown. Yeah, it's lockdown days.
It's very dry season. Sorry.
Somebody's talking about keto diet. PPR. I tried doing keto.
Keto is the one, you know.
It was quite difficult though. Like sometimes you just want to have like a tangerine or a banana.
When I was omnivorous, when I was still eating meat, it was really
yes. Shout out to Harrow, North London. Woo. I used to go to Kingsbury.
I miss Harrow so much. I used to work in Harrow. I used to live in Harrow. My favorite pub was in Harrow. I don't live there anymore, and I miss it because in Harrow I could probably find some vegetarian food and vegan food.
When I was in Harrow, I got on a bus, and then Asian guy gave up his seat for me. That's when you know you're old, right? Like some Asian guy gave up his seat for me. I was like, fuck. And I had to take the seat because it was like so awkward. Like,
oh my god!
He practically said, "Please sit down, uncle." You know, like it was that bad. I was like, "Oh my gosh, somebody gave their seat up for me on the bus."
I with one of my Bangla mutuals, I was like bantering, and he was like, "It's such a blessing and a curse that our skin is so good." Because he was like, "Oh, I looked like a 12-year-old when I was 21," and I was like, "Dude, I still get ID'd for like energy drinks. It's not funny."
I wish if somebody ID'd me, I'd propose.
Oh,
like, have you got idea?
Like, you know what? When we eventually celebrate your birthday at DaveCon, we need to set that up.
Yeah, we do, definitely. What happened to DaveCon? I got a refund on my PayPal the other day.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. David's kept me out of the loop. He hates me. He loves me, but he hates me.
He's going to schedule it for 2021, he said. Something like that.
Yeah.
Probably. Should be fun, though.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
I was looking forward to it.
Still got my cowboy hat, my cowboy boots. I'm waiting. Sorry, that probably doesn't make sense out of context. I was going to dress like Kesha from Timber.
That didn't help any one bit. It still doesn't make any sense to me. Those were just words to me.
What?
Kesher and Timber, whatever that means.
It's really difficult to understand you telling me that you didn't understand what I just said when I did not understand a fucking thing you just said. Speak English, Ali. Come on. No, I had an outfit planned for DaveCon. That's the gist of it. And I wanted to bring American cowboy, ignorant, gun-toting energy to that event.
Okay.
Hey, can I ask you a question? Because you know I follow your channel, but I haven't had time to watch any videos.
Sure.
And I just saw I saw 2 or 3 videos, and it said something about something Simon, my ex-boyfriend. And I started watching it, and I was like, what are these videos about? I don't understand. I feel like it's like when you've been watching like Sex and the City, but you jump in at episode 3, season 4, and you haven't watched the beginning of like the
Lucky
end of
for
season
you.
2.
Okay, this is actually a massive announcement.
I was like, can you give me like a update as to what that's all about?
So I started that series. So Simon is my best friend. Neither of you have met him, but he's wonderful. Saf knows all about it. She's watched every single episode. It's 4 episodes.
Simon.
It's 4 episodes so far. We had a finale, but we're actually planning a special 5th episode. And it was about my first boyfriend, who's a controlling dickhead, and he sent me emails/letters for over, I think it was like over 2 years after we broke up. And it's just reading those out. He is currently institutionalized. Simon, I mean, because those emails are actually mine. I'm kidding. I sent him some Toblerones. He's he's doing okay. We're still recovering, and he's not excited about the fact that I've come up with another idea. But it's a really good series. I genuinely just made it for me because I thought it was hysterical. But yeah, you should definitely watch it. It's really funny.
Okay. Just reading out emails of boyfriend from ages ago is nothing common.
Sorry?
Like it's from ages ago. It's not something that you're going through now.
No, it's from ages ago. But the reason why I wanted to do it was because he started commenting on my YouTube videos, and I was like, oh hell no.
Oh, okay. That's what brought it up. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ellie, what are you eating?
Biscuits. What are you eating? You still having your sweet potato?
I'm done.
Oh,
I'm having Pringles. No. Guys, I'm gonna have to call it a night because the police are coming. I don't know if you can hear them.
Yeah.
They're coming for me, so I need to run.
Yeah, right. I think we should.
With that burglar hat on your head.
Also, the hair underneath it is criminal. So.
Oh no, we gotta see that hair.
Never. But Jacob, thank you for having me. It was an absolute blast.
All right, we miss you.
See you soon. Bye.
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 All right. I don't know how much longer you want to go for. It is 8:30. We've been going for 2.5 hours. Well, I've been going for 2.5 hours. But do you have any final thoughts? Is there any questions people have for us in the chat?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna head off as well, unless there's a question or anything. And it's Ramadan. I feel for people who have to live with their families and pretend to fast, or because the scrutiny towards them is also heightened if they're out to the family. Just take care of yourself. If you're having to pretend, just make sure you sneak in some water and drink whenever you need it.
And always feel free to like vent or reach out online. I think that camaraderie and connection through the internet is really the only thing that's going to see us out in lockdown. So if if this put a smile on your face, if this helped in any kind of way, thank you for joining us. Even if it didn't and you were just here to spew some hatred, we know you enjoy being here. So thank you for coming around. And thank you to all of our wonderful guests, to Maryam Namazie, to Zara, to Halima, to Ali, Jimmy, and everyone else who's joined us in the chat. It wouldn't have been as fun without all of you people. So thank you for coming down and taking part in this. And if you would like another, pre-Iftaar Fast-Defying Mukbang, let us know and we'll set another one up and see if we can get some other guests. I was really hoping that Carl would join us because he is our guardian angel in some senses because he's always in the background of everything. But thank you guys for coming out, and thank you to all of the guests.
Thank you.
Bye. Like, share, subscribe.